Welcome to Connect2Grow's Quarterly Connect from Hustle to Harmony. And if I have to tell you how I've just literally had to hustle before we went live, I'm looking forward to the session and especially with our esteemed guest, Tim Wagner. Let me just introduce a little bit about Tim. Tim draws on 36 years in business and over 17 years as a speaker and coach, helping stressed, overworked, and frustrated professionals, specializing in self-awareness, resilience, and burnout reversal through breathwork and regenerative health. He delivers his message through interactive keynotes, engaging facilitations, and transformational coaching. Known as the Breathwork Alchemist, which is quite intriguing, and specializing in helping clients to heal from within. Tim combines his years in corporate with a holistic approach to health and well-being. His mantra, live life by your design and not by default. So without further ado, I'm just going to press go live on Instagram and welcome, Tim. Looking forward to this conversation today.
I appreciate that. And we've got so many people joining, but Anissa, we have a slight technical glitch here.
We do?
You need to join the Zoom, so that the Zoom room, so that people can actually hear what you're saying on Zoom. Otherwise, only the people on YouTube and Instagram are going to get you. And LinkedIn.
So not too much of a glitch. I just need to go live there. So whilst you are introducing yourself and what you're passionate about, other than the bio, I'll go and click the link there. Thank you.
You go click the link and then join the room, because we've got people coming in there beautifully. There's 11 great souls. They can see and hear me.
Just one note. Tanya's saying there's no video on the Zoom. So let's try and resolve all our technical challenges.
All right, there we go. Then one is me. There's me. And then the other one is then Anissa coming on there as well. In the meantime,
just for those watching, I will have my Zoom open, but I will not be visual on that side. I'll only be visual on the StreamYard link.
All right. Well, let's get this all sorted out. Wonderful people. Lovely, lovely. Please put in the chats there on Zoom and wherever you're coming streaming. Where are you streaming in from? Where are you coming from? Let's just get a bit of an interaction going here, because that's what we're here to do. This is not about Tim Wagner and Anissa Theron just speaking at you. It is a conversation we want to have, and it's wonderful that we've got this technology that allows us to be able to do this. So where are you coming in from? Tanya from Joburg, thank you. There we go. Ethel from Bethlehem in the Free State. Beautiful. Keep putting in the chats there, and you can even do that on the other streaming platforms as well. Here we go. We got some more people joining us.
Just about to ask, can you let me in, please?
Yes, you're in. There you are. There you are. I'm sure you can turn on your camera there as well, and then they'll be able to see you when you speak. Now, let's do that. All right, Bert from Cape Town, and we've got Ngobile. Apologies if I pronounce your name wrong. In from Durban. Let's jump straight in. More from Cape Town, Lauren. Man, I love Cape Town. You know, I'm streaming in from Langebaan, just 120 kilometers west of Cape Town. If you don't know Langebaan, absolutely blessed to be on a lagoon in nature. Got to love nature. That's where I do my breathing, which we're going to talk quite a bit about today as well. So now I think we've got the technical stuff sorted. Is that right? Anissa, we're going to just have to unmute you on Zoom. I've just sent you a link, a request. There we go. So at least people can hear you when you're on Zoom. So if you're speaking...
Can you hear me clearly now? I just want to clarify that.
From Gauteng, welcome. Can't turn my camera on. All right, if you can turn your camera on, I love the interaction. But if you can't, I understand that. Please, can everybody just confirm on Zoom? Give me a thumbs up when Anissa speaks. Anissa, please speak.
Let me know if you can hear me.
We can hear you clearly. We can hear you. We can hear Anissa. Yay! We got some thumbs up there. I love it. All right.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, just so you know, part of the hustle for me was that we have a power outage in our area. So, I do pray that my power in my mobile and my laptop is going to last a full hour and a half. But should it not, you are in great hands with Tim. So I'm just leaving that up front, Tim, for you to be aware.
All right.
Both my laptop and phone run out of power.
Well, then it's going to be the people who are on the Zoom link who are going to carry on getting the full benefit if you do end up by dropping off, because it'll only be the social media platforms that we'll lose connection with.
At least we have taken care of all the logistics. So those that are on Instagram, YouTube, or watching via LinkedIn, humblest apologies up front if we do cut out. This is the 1st of December, festive season, with the bang on my side. And now we need to shift out of the hustle. How do we create that harmony even amidst knowing these sort of things show up in the world? It's part of our lives. So over to you, Tim. I think we need to leverage this moment because it is certainly a hustle moment and a real example and tangible. Would you like to leverage that and kind of bring in some harmony elements?
Appreciate that. So for those who missed the introduction that Nisa did for me, and thank you for that, I'm a Breathwork Alchemist. And what does that mean? So imagine something which is heavy and dark and horrible and painful and difficult. Well, I turn that around and turn that into gold, turn into power, turn it into light, and using the power of your God-given breath to do that exact thing. So that's what a Breathwork Alchemist does. Now, I was in corporate for 27 years in hospitality. I had my own businesses. From 2008, I started my own sort of side hustle. Has anybody here got a side hustle? If you have, just put in the chats wherever you are, hustle that you've got. That's what you've got. And you're busy building that side hustle. Just put in the chats there. And there we go. Right. That this is where it all starts. And I had a side hustle on the side of my full-time career in hospitality for many, many years. And it was being able to have that and build up that knowledge, that resilience, that expertise that when I walked out of the corporate world in 2018, due to burnout, mind you, that I was actually able to grow quite quickly an income stream. There we go. Hustler. We've got quite a few hustlers there. Thank you very much. Keep putting in the chats there. But here's the biggest challenge I had. Just like those waves you see there crashing over that lighthouse, that became my problem. The waves of life, just these tumultuous, stormy waves were just absolutely pulling me under. I felt like I was drowning and I could never get a breath. Just as you pop up, something else goes and hits you. Does anybody recognize that? Does anybody here feel like they could be just drowning and barely managing to keep their head above water? Anybody here? Put in the chats there. Drowning. Because if you are, there we go. We've got some chats coming here. If you are, absolutely no problem. This is the normal cycle of life. But here's the key thing. What Anissa and I want to share with you today are some tips, tools, strategies, some things that you're actually going to try. Drowning, yes, Vanessa and Lauren, things that you're going to actually be able to take away with you. That's going to help you get out of that I'm drowning cycle. So Anisha's got some great tools she's going to share with you later on. But what I want to do first of all is jump into a breathing technique. I want to just help people connect a little bit. Now, what I'm sharing with you is actually taken from a masterclass that I run, how to breathe your way through the waves of life. It's like the stormy seas that crash over you. When you're drowning, how do you breathe? When the waves are smooth and the sea's like glass and everything's going your way, it feels like you've got the wind in your sails and you're just in flow states. How do you breathe? And then how do you breathe when you really want to activate on a deeper level, on a higher level, connect more with that flow state, connect more with your spiritual state? How do you breathe in? Oops, wrong way around. Let's do that. So let's breathe. Now, I can only see Anissa because nobody else has got their cameras on here. And I love it when people can. So if you can turn your camera on, please do so. Otherwise, I might just turn mine off. Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. Welcome, everybody. So now we've got some people here who are drowning. Let's breathe. What I would like you all to do, first of all, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up that you're ready to breathe. You can give me a virtual one. You can give me one on your screen there. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go. Let's breathe. What I'd like you to do.
So, Tim,
Yes.
because you can see the audience on Zoom, let me just acknowledge the ones that are here on LinkedIn and
Please.
Instagram and YouTube. You may not see Tim's screen, but please do listen in. And it would be great if you can participate even just in the breathwork exercise. We have got somebody all the way from Dubai, I think, in Saudi Arabia. There's a few international people here as well on the other platforms. Thank you for being here, and do listen in and receive the value that Tim is about to indulge us with.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I describe it so whether you can see me or you can't, you can participate fully, because that's what this is all about. And that's what the request was. How do we need to make this participation. We need to get people involved. My goal is that when you leave here, you've experienced, felt the emotional change of state, that alchemy that I spoke to you about. So how do we do that? What I'd like you to do is hold your right hand up 10 centimeters in front of your nose and pretend between your thumb and forefinger that you're holding a feather. All right? Have we all got our hands up 10 centimeters in front of our nose? And that includes Anissa. There we go. Anissa, what color is your feather?
Red.
You got a red feather. I've got a beautiful pink flamingo's feather here. Now, what you're going to be doing is you're going to let go of that feather, but as you're letting go, you're going to do short, sharp breaths in and out your mouth, pretending to keep that feather floating up in the sky. Breathing from your belly. So you're breathing in and out your belly, not your chest. So you're breathing in and out your belly and pretend that that feather's floating. Now, the only time that you don't do this is if you're driving. So if you're operating heavy machinery, maybe don't do this one. But for everybody else, right hand up, 10 centimeters in front of your nose. I'm going to count you in from 3 to 1. You're going to let go of the feather and you're going to just blowing it up into the sky, pretending that you're keeping that imaginary feather floating, floating, floating. We're going to be doing this for 30 seconds. Are we ready? Let your air out. 3, 2, 1. And let feather go and blow. Keep blowing. Come on, keep blowing. Let's get this feather floating up in the sky. Make sure it doesn't just sink down to your feet. You want to keep blowing the feather. Blow it, blow it. Pretend this feather's floating around the garden and you're chasing it and you're keeping it flying into the sky. Keep going. That's it, Anisha. Keep going. Wonderful. Keep going. Let's go 10 seconds. 9. You can do this. 8, 7, 6. Now what I want you to do is let your air out and take a deep breath and lift your arms. Deep breath in. Lift up, lift up, lift up, and a big sigh. Ah. Just a big sigh. How's that? Woo! Who's feeling a little bit connected? Are you feeling maybe a bit lightheaded? Put in the chats over there. How do you feel now? What you've gone and done is emptied that stay lightheaded. Yes, lightheaded. Tanya, brilliant. Yeah. We got some more people coming in here. So what you've done is you've emptied that stale air from your lungs. You've activated your diaphragm. You've awakened your brain. You've got more clarity. You've opened up your blood vessels and you've got this oxygenated blood which is rushing through. Don't you feel more awake? A bit dizzy, that's normal. That's good. Lightheaded, that'll pass. Now you're connected. Now you're ready to be attentive. And literally in 30 seconds, don't you feel calmer? Have you perhaps forgotten about that issue, Anissa? The issue with connecting on Zoom and the fact that your area electricity's gone down. You suddenly forget.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's a brilliant tool. Now, the tools I'm sharing with you is not just for you, but these are tools that you can take away with you. And if you have a team, if you're a leader in any way of capacity, and you want to get the attention of your people, just ask them to pretend to blow a feather for 30 seconds. How powerful and simple is that? Lauren says, I feel lighter. Exactly. This is the power of breath. But Anissa, can I share a little bit of a story, my sort of background, to give people context? Because I know on here, thank you. On here, we've got a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and we've got people who've got a side hustle, which means you've got that full-time job, which is now you're feeling perhaps at this time of year overwhelmed, right? Anybody feeling overwhelmed? Put in the chat box there, overwhelmed. Give me a thumbs up if you're saying, yeah, this time of year, man, I just need a break. Yep, thank you. Ngubele, appreciate it. There we go. Vanessa, definitely. Anissa, this time of year, I hear all the time from clients when I network and talk to people, I just can't wait for December. Well, it's arrived. And now you're looking at this and going, I've got 2 weeks left to do all of this. I feel overwhelmed. This is ridiculous. How am I going to get through all of this? And that's exactly what happens. So we're running our side hustle. And here's a word swap that I'd like you to do. It's not your side hustle. It's your main passion. Call that job that you want to leave to run your own dream and goal, the side hustle. Reframe, refocus. Your side hustle is your passion, is it not? It's the business. It's the idea that you've got. And we're here to help you today to maintain the momentum of this business, this passion, this dream that you have, while still taking a break, because we need that break. Now, I know all about this because I got it wrong, completely wrong. So I'm not only here to share with you what I've learned, I'm here to share with you what I did as well, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. And what did it look like for me? Well, that was me. I'm not sure if you can see the date on the bottom there. That was the 17th of April, 2018. You see, what I know now, I didn't always used to know. When I was working in corporate, and for 27 years, I ran hospitality business. If anybody's in hospitality, it's 24/7, 365. Hospitality does not sleep. And I didn't used to sleep either. Friends and family used to say to me, but Tim, do you ever sleep? And I'd say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. It almost killed me. I was out of balance completely. I had these side hustles, this business. I was a speaker, a mentor, a coach. I've been doing it since 2008. I had my own business. I was in cryptocurrency. I was teaching trading. And I had a full-time job, which in hospitality was 15, 16 hours a day, and father and husband. How do you balance that? How do you balance all of this?
Sure, many can relate to this, Tim. I mean, many people can feel that they have multiple roles or multiple hats that they need to wear. And most certainly, that image, I mean, if you had to say what is the emotion that is attached to it, when you look at that image, seeing yourself, what are you seeing? And I can relate to your story of corporate as well, because I always call it the battle scars of corporate, simply because it is 12, 18-hour days, but then there's not just that role. There is being the father, being the sister, the wife, the daughter, and these multiple roles across these different contexts in our lives. I do want to find out the emotion that is attached to that image when you look at it now versus when you saw it back then.
What happened was, I'll get to the emotion. I walked out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a mentor, a coach. I tried speaking to the business owner that I ran a multi-million rand business in Cape Town for 7.5 years, and that didn't go well. So I had no idea what to do. And when I left, I was stressed. I had no energy. I was burning out. I was angry. I was frustrated. And I took that photograph the night I was driving home after I walked out. And I lived in Blouberg at the time. And I felt that I couldn't drive anymore. So I pulled off the side of the road and I sat on the tarmac by the beach for, I don't know, hours. I've no idea. And I just knew at that point I needed to take a picture because someday I was going to use it and I had no idea how. And I now use it and now I know why. So when I look at that photograph, I remember how unhealthy I was, how unfit I was, how disconnected I was with my authentic nature, with how true I am and who I am.
Yeah.
I was lost. Anybody else there ever feel any of these emotions? No one to speak to. No idea where to go. And I asked myself a key question, and please give me a thumbs up if you've ever asked this question. Who am I? But who am I really? Not who do I identify with in my job or even my business that I'm running. Who am I? Who am I, Tim? Not the father, not the husband, the business owner. Who am I? And I realized I have no friggin' idea. I didn't know. So I went on a 6-year journey of discovery. 6 years, I tried and tested multiple different businesses. I made great money and I lost it all 4 times. I call these my university fees. Has anybody ever paid university fees before? But I'm not talking about the one that you get from the actual university. I'm talking about the university of life. Right?
That's what we call it.
University of Hard Knocks. Anybody here had some big university school fees where you've got multiple degrees because in fact what you paid is actually would have cost you way more than actually getting a physical degree from a university? That's what I did, because I was in search of who I am and what I'm doing. And it was during this search that I say breathwork discovered me. See, I wasn't even looking for it. I didn't know what breathwork was. I didn't know that there's different breathing techniques. We're not taught this. And as soon as I discovered that, and the very first thing I learned, and if there's one thing I'd encourage you to take away from this today, is the following. The first thing I learned when I found out about breathing is that when you're stressed and anxious, when you shut your mouth and breathe through your nose, it acts as a natural tranquilizer and calms your nervous system. So here's the first thing, the primary thing that I encourage you all to do. Shut your mouth and breathe through your nose. That's the start. Shut your mouth and breathe through your nose. And we'll do a breathing exercise just now, which I'll demonstrate with you so you can actually feel it. That it's not an intellectual thing. It's an emotional change of state. That's how powerful it can be. So simple, right? But I didn't used to know this. So I studied it. I went down the rabbit hole of learning about regenerative health, about breathing techniques, about holistic healing, about having a look at your total mind, body, and spirit as one unit and not independent from each other. And over the years, I've been blessed and privileged to speak. Whoops, get my screen back here. To speak on stages, to corporates, to companies, to networks, to people like you guys. And on the bottom right of the screen, I think it is there, as you see it, see those people standing on the beach? One of the things that I wanted to do in the community that we live is to give back. I think if everybody gave back a little bit more, how much more connected we would all be. And so about 2 months ago, in winter actually, not a good time to start this, I invited the local community to come and breathe with me on the beach. I know how powerful it is to me, and there's so many stressed people around the world. I wanted to just share openly. So this is a give to the local community, that we connect together. We arrive as strangers. We connect and release our stress and anxieties of the week on sunrise every Saturday morning on the lagoon. And it's beautiful. That's part of having that balance. Anybody here looking for a balance between their work and their life? Put their balance, type balance if you're looking for balance. So give me a thumbs up. You say, yeah, I need a better balance. Absolutely, balance. I'm going to talk on that in a moment, but here's what I know, is that when you're sharing and you're giving, not for receiving anything in return, I receive gratitude and love from the people in the community, and that's beautiful. There's no reciprocal money. I don't do my skill for money value exchange. This is just to give back. What are you doing to give back to your community, to the people? We need to build that in. Otherwise, it's just always that hustle, run, 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 run. So I'm privileged to be able to do that, because now I've got something which I've learned, that if I had known way back then, how could my life have been different? So Nisha, I want to ask you a question here. We hear all the time about the importance of work-life balance. What's your perspective of this? How do people who are hustling, running their own businesses, got a job and trying to do this, and the family and the community and church and whatever else, how do you get this balance? What would you say to those who are saying my balance, life cycle, my work-life balance is out of sync?
So I have a different perspective. I am going to challenge the perspective of balance rather to having a holistic, integrated life, because we are all these roles. We can't separate ourselves from the different roles that we have. We may be more present in those separate roles that we show up as, but in the same breath, excuse the pun, is that we are both light and dark, and we are these integrated beings. So when we are asking for balance, we are almost saying, in fact, in my interpretation, you must have a little bit of balance in each category of your life. But if life happens and chaos unfolds and those storms come in, whether it is financial storms, whether it is related to health and well-being, whether it is relationships, does balance really bring that into equilibrium? I feel that if we integrate all of those, you are able to have a level of acceptance and not focus on the issue itself, but operate more from your authentic self and allowing the other person to also be authentic in that moment. And that will balance things out in the experience, situation, circumstance, or the event. But this year, for me, it was all about, I don't know if those of you that have a word for the year, mine was about integration. So how can I integrate the part of myself that it sometimes will feel anxious? The balance comes in by saying, I am not anxious. I feel anxious. I feel overwhelmed. And the separateness of separating yourself from that label is when balance will naturally come to fruition. That's my perspective on balance. And just being composed and resilient in the moment, but integrating whatever is showing up in the moment. Like we just did earlier on before we started. Power is out. What do we do? What needs to happen? I don't see you, Tim. Oh, you are back.
I love what you've just said. I feel, not I am. The huge difference in the play on words there, and I love word swaps. I do that with my clients in my coaching program all the time. We form identities around stress, anxiety, fear, anger, depression. And we turn and we create that negativity in ourselves by saying, I am depressed. I am out of balance. I am angry. I am tired. Now, I'm just going to pull on that one thing with what you were talking about. No, it's a feeling. I feel tired. I feel depressed. I feel angry. It's an emotional state as opposed to an identity. And that helps create that balance where instead of identifying as a stressed person, I am stressed, I am depressed, you're now saying it's just an emotional state. Here's the thing about emotional states. You can change them. Where there is an identity, if you want to identify yourself as an angry person, I am angry. So you subconsciously, you go, okay, be angry. And here's the one thing about an emotion, any of them. It's a paradigm. An emotion is an internal emotional reaction to an external circumstance. Can you change all these external circumstances around you? Are we able to influence the government, the politics, the economy, what other people do, what your employees do, what your boss does, what your team does? To a certain extent, but you're not in control of them. But the one thing that you can change and you can influence is your emotional reaction. And that's what I found breathwork does. So let me hone it back in again to finding that balance. When you identify somebody who is out of balance, so your subconscious mind goes, okay, let's get out of balance. So it's not an identity.
Tim, I want to come in
there. Go ahead.
If I may. Can I come in there, or you're on a train of thought? I don't want you to lose that train of thought.
No, go. I love this. We're going to go backwards and forwards. Go ahead.
So I have this view that when we are seeking or desiring or craving the balance that we are referring to, or even the integration, we almost become attached to that destination.
Right.
And so I want to throw in a spanner in the works, as I always do. We don't rehearse this, by the way. This is really in this moment, right here, right now. When I chatted to Tim about what are we doing, I said to him, yes, I like the structure and the flow, but we have to sit here and be in the flow. And we want your participation, those that are listening in. Please give us your areas of how you manage all the things that we're talking about, or how you approach it. But to come back to my point, when we are seeking to reach a particular destination of balance or integration, we potentially also set ourselves up for failure, right?
Ooh.
Because we are trying to do and act in a certain manner to reach a certain point. And we become attached to that. Mm. And so when we don't feel the opposite and equal of the anxious emotion, peace and contentment, we almost find ourselves even more frazzled and bedazzled, because now we're not reaching that point. So I would want to say, what are your thoughts around this? That we should not be attached and be rather practicing non-attachment and stay present in the moment of your breath, of the sensation, which ultimately is going to reach whatever specific feeling state you want to get to, rather than the destination of I want to feel contentment and peace and joy and love and happiness. Because when we don't achieve that, it sends us into a different zone of hustle mode, and not necessarily the harmony that we are aspiring to get to. Just my contribution there. What are your thoughts on that?
And that's absolutely beautiful. Is when we when we identify too seriously on one path, and one track, and then you're going, well, what about that? And what about that? That's where you're lacking that balance. But you're speaking about being in the moment. And if I look back to when my life has been most, what's the word? Dysfunctional. How's that for a word? When my life has been the most dysfunctional, when I've failed the greatest. And there's no such thing as failure, because with the failure, there's a lesson. And if you learn something, then that means it wasn't failure because you learned something. But of the times where it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, and I was dysfunctional, it was where I was focused too closely and seriously on one thing. And yes, we do need to focus on our business intently. But perhaps that's also where the balance flows out, because then you're looking too much at what is coming down the line in the future, and you forget about here and now. Absolutely. And the only influence that we have on anything that we do is when? It's here and now. Wow. It's in this moment. And I love how you brought the breathing back into it there, because that's a whole thing. Is to say, but when I know I've got deadlines, I know I need to hustle in my job, my business, do whatever I can, because I've got targets and deadlines and things I've got to meet and achieve. How am I supposed to focus in the now? How am I supposed to break outside of this state of fear, doubt, worry, overwhelm, all those things, those emotions that we were talking about earlier on? And you've led me beautifully. Does that sort of, am I touching on what you were looking for, Anissa? Because you led me into.
Yeah. What are the gifts and opportunities of now?
Yeah.
How do we extend grace to ourselves and live from a place of gratitude for this present moment? And what can we celebrate in this moment? We can celebrate the gift of being able to breathe in this moment. We can celebrate the gift of awareness. So that's really where I was bringing it. It's more the integration of everything that is happening in this moment,
okay,
without attaching to the destination of where do I need to get to. Let's ask those that are watching. Let's engage them. What are your thoughts around this? And have you found yourself aspiring to reach a particular destination and you don't reach it and you're unhappy? How do you then bring yourself back to the present moment with unconditional positive regard that you've tried, and now you need to bring you back to feeling grounded and to harmony?
Please do put in the chats. What do you do? How do you bring yourself back to the moment? And you focus so intently on what you're doing and what your focus is and where you're meant to be going in the future and the future and the future. It was always my challenge. I was always going right now, down there. But what about here and now? What do you do to bring back? How do you bring yourself back into the present? Anybody got any ideas? Put in the chats there. Have you got any comments coming on the social media side?
Not yet. I'm checking. I'm between the 4 platforms today.
So while you're jumping around, Anissa, and having a look, I'm going to speak about what happens to us. A little bit of theory. Is that okay? We throw in a bit of theory, because I want to throw in a bit of theory to stimulate the intellectual mind for clarity and understanding. And then we're going to turn it into emotion, because the emotion is what you're going to take away. So while people are sharing there, what do they do to bring themselves back into the moment? Perhaps you found yourself always trying to get to that next stage, but mentally you just got a block. You're not able to actually get there, and you're feeling the frustration rise. You're finding, and this all links back to balance, that you become more unbalanced, and the scale is just going to tip, or you're going to fall off the edge of the cliff. That feeling of, I can't get this. I can't find the answer. You're putting together a pitch for a contract. You've got a presentation. You're stuck. You're looking down the line, whatever it is. How can I get to December so I can have a break because I'm tired? You see, what ended up happening is when you're in a state of what is called fear, fight, flight, you've activated what's called the sympathetic nervous system. And what you'll find is that you're breathing short, sharp breaths in and out your chest. So while you're sitting there listening to me, how are you breathing? Are you breathing into your chest? Or are you breathing into your belly? Put in the chats there. Chest or belly? Just notice, how am I breathing? And there's a very specific reason I'm asking for this. So play with me, please. How am I breathing? Anissa, how are you breathing?
I think I breathe all wrong.
Ooh,
Chest.
chest. Lauren, chest. There we go. Keep putting in the chats there. Belly. Mile. Chest. You see, here's what happens. When you're operating in a state of overwhelm, panic, fear, fight, flight, we're designed, our bodies are the most amazing designed machines, but we don't taught how to use it. You see, go back thousands of years, birth, chest, all right, okay, okay, you're going to love what I'm going to share with you now. Thank you, because we're getting most people here breathing in and out their chest. I didn't stress myself, even in problems. I just take it easy. Oh, there we go. What a beautiful thing. You're gonna have to share with us what you do to just take it easy. Let it all go. Very few people are able to do that, so thank you. Go back thousands of years ago to the era of the caveman. When the caveman goes out hunting, imagine you're out there hunting and you're going out and you know that on your menu today, you want kudu ribs, right? So off you go. You're going shopping there in the plains of Africa. You've got your biodegradable shopping bag and you're going down. And as you go down there, the tree line or the shopping aisle, looking for that impala, you notice Simba, the Lion King, he's crouched behind the amarula tree down the bottom there. But fortunately, the wind's blowing the right direction for you. And you see Simba, he doesn't smell you. But straight away, what happens to your body? Instantly, it kicks into fear, fight, flight state. Adrenaline, cortisol pump through your bloodstream in your body, removing oxygen from your brain because your body doesn't want you to stop and go, what should I do now? There's a lion. No! Your body knows intuitively, your subconscious knows intuitively, run before Simba sees. So that's exactly what happens. The oxygen gets pumped to your muscles, your vital organs that you need, and you run. You head back to your cave. And in the cave, homeostasis. Danger gone. Rest and digest. And you calm. It's how we've been built. Here's the problem. 90% of us are walking around as if we're permanently being chased by Simba through the plains of Africa. You're remaining in a high stress state of anxiety for such a long period of time. You're trying to operate, run your business, build your hustle, create the best opportunities, finish all those projects before December. But you're doing it in such a high stressed state, you can't think clearly. Did anybody ever notice that? That in the States, to think with clarity, to find the solutions to the problems is just not possible. Why? Because you've been designed that way. So what you need to do is calm your nervous system, open up the mind so that you can find the solutions. I think it's about time, seeing how people are breathing in and out their chest, to calm your nervous system. I think it's about time we did a breathing exercise. What do you think, Anissa?
I would love that because I'm always confused whether I'm breathing correctly. So please indulge us. Take us on this journey of how to breathe correctly.
Okay. There's a wonderful book written in 1901. The author's name was Yogi Ramacharaka. And he said in that book, you don't eat through your nose, so don't breathe through your mouth. The mouth is the backup. Your nose is the breathing. So the breathing technique I want to share with you is one that you can use anytime. It's my favorite go-to to train to executives before they're going to do a presentation, or for professional speakers while they're standing in the sidelines there before walking on stage, and those butterflies are just going crazy inside. The butterflies will always fly, but at least after this, they will fly in sequence in the same way. So this is a brilliant breathing technique that you can use whenever you're finding yourself flustered, stressed, fearful. It's going to calm your nervous system. And the magic is 1 minute. That's all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about complex, in-depth things, which now you're adding on top of a busy schedule. We're saying 60 seconds. So here's what I'd like you to do. Are we ready? For those who I can see here on my Zoom screen, give me a thumbs up. Are you ready? Let's have a thumbs up there. Are you ready to do this? There we go. Thank you, Lauren. All right, we're getting Bert's ready. We've got quite a few people. There we go. Very simple.
Okay.
Even if you're driving, you can do this one. Unlike the very first one I did, if you're driving, don't do that. This one you can. The only thing is, when I say close your eyes and you're driving, maybe pull over first before you close your eyes. All right. Here's what we do.
So let's just also let's quickly also give our other audience. I know we mustn't forget there are 3 other platforms.
Yes, please go ahead.
LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. We've started the timer. Tim is going to take us through the breathwork exercise.
Okay. So for those who can see my screen, great. If you can't, I'll talk you through it. So for 60 seconds, you're going to breathe, and you're going to do it like this. I'm going to count you in. You're going to let all your air out. You're sitting comfortably relaxed, your arms wherever they are most comfortable. And you're going to breathe into the count of 5 through your nose and out through the count of 5 through pursed lips. So I'm going to be counting for you for halfway. And then after halfway, I want you to count in your head and visualize the number as you're counting. We're going to do this for 1 minute. And then I'll explain a little bit.
Eyes closed or open?
Eyes closed if you want, or open. Either. It's works perfectly well. If you're sitting comfortably and you can close your eyes, then do that, because it gives you a chance to go more internal, but you can have your eyes open if you want. All right. So I'll count you from 3 to 1. You're going to let your breath out. And you're going to breathe in through your nose to the count of 5. And on the screen, I have a timer if you do want to follow that as well. And 3, 2, 1. Breathe in through your nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out through your mouth. 4, 3, 2, 1. In through your nose. Breathe in. And out through pursed lips. And in through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. And in. And out. One more round. In. And out. Now just sit there peacefully for a moment, feeling the calm in your head, the heart beating in your chest. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes if you did close them. Put in the chat box, how do you feel now? Anissa, how do you feel? You played along. So relaxed, says Ethel. Chilled, Anissa. I love it. Keep putting in the chat. Sleepy, Bert. Ooh, Bert, sleepy. Did anybody feel breath hungry? Like afterwards you're like, oh my goodness, I need to breathe. I don't have enough oxygen. Anybody here feel breath hungry? Anissa, did you feel breath hungry? Panicky?
No.
All right. You see, what happens is when you're stressed and anxious, just like a panic attack, or you're running from Simba the lion, you're breathing short, sharp breaths. Think of somebody having a panic attack. Now, a little bit contra to what we're taught about breathing. When we're taught, breathe, you want more air, more oxygen, breathe in through your mouth. That's what we're taught, right? And you think, oh, that gives me more when I breathe in through my mouth. My nose, not so much, right? Unfortunately, it's not that way. You see, when you're breathing in and out your mouth, you're actually creating and adding stress and anxiety on top, and your stress and anxiety builds and builds and builds, which is why people who have panic attacks end up by fainting. So when you're breathing slowly in through your nose, you're breathing into your belly, which is automatic. Remember what I said to you right at the beginning? Remember this, shut your mouth, breathe through your nose. It automatically activates that rest and digest, or what's called parasympathetic nervous system. Now, here's what happens in that. You're actually calming your mind and your heart, and you're resonating them. It's called the resonant breath. And later on, I'm going to be gifting everybody my book, which will explain this as well. So you don't have to remember everything. You'll get that in my free book I'm going to be sharing with you all. But the resonant breath calms your mind, wakens your nervous system, slows your breathing down from a high 16, 18, 20 breaths a minute down to 6. So Anissa, you asked, and it's a brilliant question, what is the ideal breath? The ideal breath is between 6 to 12 breaths a minute in and out your nose. That's the key thing here. Calm your nervous system, relaxes you. When you're relaxed, the oxygen goes back to your prefrontal cortex, your active thinking brain, and you'll be able to then find the solution to that problem which you've been struggling with. How simple is that?
I'd like to come in there because you talked what I love to talk about, which is the brain. And we spoke about the prefrontal cortex, but I want you to imagine it in a different light or label, better known as your Einstein brain, right? When you're switching on to your Einstein brain versus your Frankenstein brain. So when you have regulated yourself, through your nose breathing, as Tim has just described, you are able to think more clear. You are using the executive brain functions as he's just said. But I want to share something interesting. In the same way that Simba, I think Simba is quite sweet and cute, by the way. So I'm wondering if it's Simba or if it's, what's the other one? The Uncle Scar?
You think I must change the story to Scar is behind the Remarilla tree?
Maybe we must say it's Scar because Scar was terrifying, right? So in the same way, like Scar is terrifying as that character in The Lion King, we also have terrifying stories of our past. And what the other part, the Frankenstein part of the brain does is if you're in this overwhelm and hustle and depressive state or all those negative dis-ease emotions, what is actually happening is you are connecting past experiences, past stories, past narratives to what is happening in the present moment, because the brain is only doing what it's designed to do. It has got memory stored that reminds you that here's a similar experience. And so it becomes quite subjective that experience is actually real. And when Tim explains the breath just brings you back to centering yourself and your nervous system and grounds you to see the moment for what it actually is, because we attach these past experiences onto the present moment experience, and then it exacerbates it as if it's even much bigger than what it really is. And then here's another trick that a neuroscientist says, that when you feel scar is about to attack, then you need to think about something pleasant, a memory that really brings you joy and happiness alongside that breath. Because with the breath, the brain has not been designed to simultaneously be in a negative left part of your brain hemisphere than in the right side, which taps into the more harmonious wisdom, sage, as positive intelligence would call it, region of the brain. So you could easily flip the script with the breath, because the breath does the calming. The sensations in the body that comes up, you will be able to also calm the moment you think about something that really makes you feel content and tranquil and at peace and have acceptance for whatever that moment is presenting. So I wanted to just weave that in there because that is, again, the theoretical aspects, but to, for lack of a better word, bring it down to our layman's terms. Think about a positive thought that's reinforcing than thinking about that negative or terrifying scar that's out to get you.
Beautiful.
Over to you, Tim.
Thank you for that. No, that's fantastic. And I love the science that becomes the, what are they calling it now? Neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
The fact that we can mold our minds. You have got influence over how you're thinking and the way that your mind actually works. So thanks for bringing that home with a lot more clarity. I know that's your expertise, far more than mine. But it's beautiful.
Oh, good. It's complementary.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a very complementary thing. Your work is just so powerful because we do forget to breathe. It's the most simplest thing, and that's the gift of life, right?
100%.
So we close on 1:30 p.m. and we have 30 minutes remaining. So what do we have for our audience here today in our final 30 minutes?
I want to just jump to, I've got Bert who's actually asked for a bit of clarity on what I've just said when he said, breathe in and out your nose. So thanks for that question. And let me elaborate a little bit more on the value and importance of this, because we do breathe differently for different reasons. The calming breath, the ideal breath, is in and out your nose. And there's multiple different reasons. I'll cover one or two of them for you just now. But perhaps I'll also just share a few tips on how you can start to do this and integrate it into the habit. And then perhaps what we're going to do, Anissa, is jump over a little bit more on what we can do as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, to wind down in December, to have that break, to find this elusive balance, while not losing focus on our business. So perhaps we'll jump on there a little bit as well, because we've had an interesting discussion, you and I, about this, and I've learned the hard lessons. I'll share with them too. But let me just quickly jump over here onto to answer that question for you, Bert. So if you're breathing in and out your mouth, that you can use to activate and awaken. Yeah. So let's say, for example, you've got a big project that you need to do, and you just can't, you're just not able to do it. You think, I need a double espresso, but the problem with espresso, it gives you the high and then the crash afterwards. I need that bar of chocolate. That's me. Sugaraholic. Is that a word? You know what I mean? Love my sugar. But it gives you that high and then gives you the crash afterwards. Now, there's breathing techniques that you can then use in that case, which is all in and out your mouth for a very limited period of time. This is an activator, which then awakens yourself. But when you're breathing in that way, you're not activating your chest, you're breathing into your belly. So make sure that if you are using an activating breathing technique, and due to time, there's some other things we'll talk about. It's in my book. You can go through that there. Is that you're breathing in your belly like we did with the feather right at the beginning. It wakens you up. It gets that clarity. You get a bit of a buzz going in your head, and you're seeing the stars perhaps as well. So that's in and out your mouth. But the best, healthiest breath is in and out your nose. It calms your nervous system. Breathing in through your nose sends the oxygen to the bottom part of your lungs, which gives you a 7 times greater intake of oxygen than if you're breathing in your mouth. After all, do you want more air or more oxygen? It's the oxygen that we seek. So breathing in your nose gives you more oxygen. Breathing out your nose keeps you calm. It keeps you effective. It keeps you active. Okay? But if you're doing a specific exercise like the resonant breath, that's down-regulating and calming. But if you're just sitting working, if you're watching TV, if you're walking, doing basic exercise, in and out your nose. All right? But does that give you a little bit more clarity? If you want anything else, we want to cover it, please just put in the chats. And likewise for anybody else, anything that Anissa or I have spoken about and mentioned, we should say, oh, but hang on, dig into that a little bit more for me. That was interesting. I didn't quite get it. Please do put in the chats, either where Anissa's keeping control on the social platforms, or I can see you on Zoom. Anything else that's coming up?
Is that raised hand just for you that you put up there, or is somebody raised a hand?
Not that I've seen. Sometimes my Zoom picks up a raised hand. If I do that, it'll go, put your hand up.
Okay.
But there isn't. But yeah, we'll do the chats. If anybody has got a question, I'll keep an eye on it. So thanks for that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, if anybody feels called that they would like to come off mute and off camera, let's invite them and make it as interactive. Anybody.
Love it. Bert gives a thumbs up.
In that fight-flight mode now when we ask that question.
Breathe in through your nose and catch that calm.
Yeah. Okay. So
when we were connecting, Anissa, the one question that came up was, how do we take that time off over December so that we can rest ourselves to be able to focus? And I'm going to share my story if I can. I'll hand over to you because you've got some beautiful tools and tips. Is finding that balance between having that break, because we all need a rest. If you don't and you keep pushing through, you'll be like me and you'll lose all of this and and you'll end up by burning out. But how do you do that while still maintaining momentum and focus? So last year, I decided for 10 days between the Christmas and New Year period, I was going to go social media out, black out from that. I wasn't going to go on my laptop. I wasn't going to create. I wasn't going to do any work. I was going to do family, fun, exercise, beach, chill, Netflix, and not worry. I felt I needed it. 2024 was crazy. 2025 was even crazier. Anybody else agrees with me there? But here's what I found. In January, when I tried to kickstart again, not only did it take me a couple of weeks to actually really get going, but the momentum I'd been creating in October, November, and up until the end of December completely slowed down. It was like that wheel had just stopped. So where do you find that balance? How do you take that break without taking your foot off the gas? And that's been a big question that I've been asking myself this year. So how do I maintain momentum in my business while having a break, while my family also has me in entirety, not just a little bit of me because my brain's still thinking about the presentation or the talk or my clients? What is that tool? And if you've got here something that you've used and that you would say, this is what I do to make sure that I get that, please Let us know. Share it. That's what this is all about. It's the collective wisdom that influences and helps all of us, because I don't have all the answers. Last year, I learned a big lesson that actually ended up by costing me a few clients. Not what I want to have again, what I want to do again. So what have we got here for the audience, for everybody here on this beautiful academy, that they can use to get that break, to get that analysis of 2025, get the focus of 2026, so that we're actually ready and running? Because I've got some things that I'd like to share as well, but that we actually have ready for us in January, so that we're already moving.
Yeah. So Tim, from my side, I mean, I almost think about the ship setting sail, right? And we going to these different ports and reaching different destinations. And as you say, your December destination might be, we just want to unwind, relax, have fun, be free, and not as focused nearly as we were in the previous months. But how do we then bring us back to that clarity and focus and intentionality and zest for taking on, especially when this new year started? And what often happens is people have these audacious New Year's goals, and I have banished the word goals. For those that are on here that knows Anissa, she doesn't believe in goals. She believes, what is the purpose and the intention that you set for yourself? And bringing it back to the ship and cruising analogy, you need a compass, right? On this journey, on this voyage, on this quest of each of these months that you can embark on, whatever those intention and purposes are that you've set for yourself. And what I discovered along my own journey is this compass becomes almost like a blueprint as well. But this the compass is not necessarily saying you're going to reach comfortable zones and be in a comfort zone all the time, and that you need to be okay with it, because when you're taking this voyage, there are going to be storms, and then there are going to be times where you reach the most serene, tranquil destination. So where am I going with it? There's a tool that I was introduced to a couple of years ago called the Year Compass. And what it actually asks us to do, instead of setting these audacious or big, hairy or BHAG goals, as they call it, is to actually get still and pause in the moment and get really present to understand, what has this year brought to you? Apologies. So what exactly have you achieved? Not in, obviously, one would say it's just the tangible achievements. I got so many clients, I increased my revenue, I made that percentage profit. It's not only those things. We're not going to have the time to go through this, but ultimately what this tool gives you, it gives you the gift of reflection. And what reflection gives and brings, rather, is insight. It asks you to take a pause on all your previous ports that you got off on for January and February, all the way up until now for this month, up to November. What was present for you? What were those beautiful lessons that you had to learn? What level of awareness has been evoked within you that you shifted out of how you generally would have the inner critic say that you haven't done well enough for this year? It moves you into a space of reflecting on what has worked. And even if it hasn't worked, what do I take with that and how do I improve it going forward? So it's a gathering of insight and data that ultimately become almost.
I'm going to come back here on my phone because the laptop has just died. Can you still hear me, Tim?
Yes, but only on social. You've dropped off the...
Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, but you've dropped off the Zoom.
I know the laptop has died.
Ah,
So you may need to just repeat this, and you do have the tool in front of you. So you may want to open it and maybe just take snippets however you feel so that those that are on the Zoom can still get the benefit. But in essence, it is a beautiful reflection tool to kind of stop and anchor your ship wherever you have stopped and said, what's really been successful? What were the lessons? What are the growth that you've experienced? Only then do you move into saying, well, now that I know what's worked, what's been in my favor, what were the advantages, disadvantages of some of the thought patterns, emotional states that I've been in, what habits have served me, what's been a disservice to me in those habits or behaviors, and maybe even the belief systems that I've carried with me this year. And how have I shifted that? Once I have that data of understanding where I have been, it allows me to now set the compass for my next destination of where do I want to get to for this month in December, as well as what do I want to achieve in my next destination come January, February, and March. So I'm going to leave it to you to take over there so that those that are on Zoom can actually feel through what I've just said based on you reflecting it back to me, and so that they can hear back in again.
I've tried to put my microphone next to my laptop. I don't know. Can you guys on Zoom hear Anissa? Just give me a thumbs up if you can, or put a chat. Ah, they could still hear you. There we go.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, so I've actually, they can't see you or anything, but yeah, you can be heard. So I put my microphone right next to my laptop. So picking up still there. Look at that. All right. Magical stuff. Magic make it play.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So thanks, Anissa. Now, this tool, when you shared it with me, fitted beautifully into what I was already deciding what I was going to do, but on my own. But instead of now doing it on my own and just sort of making the best out of it, maybe going onto ChatGPT and asking for some guidance, you've actually given me a solid tool. And what I love about the tool is it gives me a framework of how to reflect on 2025. So already just reading through it, it gave me moments where I was stopped and I thought, yeah, hang on, what happened? Wow, I'd forgotten about that. And I went right back to March of a beautiful speaking gig I had. And then the connections that were made thereafter that I'm still got now, and a contract that's going to come in January from what happened in March. But if I only, if I didn't have, and you broke it down, it breaks it down beautifully into a structure of go back and have a look at your calendar. Have a look at your calendar per month. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. That's just, it's tedious. Now, and just skip over it. But the format of how it's being done and then asking you key questions where you then analyze, I found brilliant.
Tim, you know what I find, if those that have a bit of a threat response or resistance to go back into their calendar, go and look at your camera and look at what photographs you have snapped from the beginning of this year to now. Because those that are visually more inclined may very well want to go and look at what happened in these months, because we love to take photographs. We love snapping the memories of the year. And those I found gave me a feeling of gratitude, because whether it was me snapping photographs of me journeying alongside my clients in so many different contexts, I was grateful for that. Whether it was me snapping photographs of me and my kids somewhere, having quality time, it does play a role to go and look back at what have you taken photos of.
It's a brilliant idea. I hadn't thought of that. I'm going to definitely do that. Thank you very much. Yeah. I was thinking about social media as well for those people who are actively posting on LinkedIn.
Your journal has gems. Those that journal Go back to your journal because it's very overwhelming. So let me just give a caveat here. When you look at that tool and you look at the depth of information and prompts, you may potentially feel resistant to want to do this. Do not attempt to do this in one day. You're not going to achieve it in one day. Give yourself a week and take it section by section and say, today I'm doing this and I'm being intentional and I'm going to pause and set aside time to do so. Because you are not going to be able to complete it in one day. There is too much for you to go and process and really reflect deeply. And we don't like to reflect. We like the hustle and bustle and the busyness. And our brain is already thinking about January, February. This is almost intentionally asking you to take that pause. So in your break over this period of time, in the 2 weeks of December, after you've finished off all your deadlines, set the intention that you're going to take the last 2 weeks of December and use the 1 week for reflection and the 1 week setting the tone for what 2026 will have in store for you, that you are setting the purpose and intentions for. Over to you, Tim. Any other ideas?
Yeah, thank you for that, because what I was actually going to do was take a day between Christmas and New Year, say to the wife, I'm out, you're not going to find me, you do your own thing, me, I'm doing my own thing, and actually sitting for a day. But what you're saying is no, that's not the way this is going to work effectively.
No.
You're suggesting actually take a week, and then what would you do? Sort of half an hour a day, an hour a day in that week? What would you recommend?
Bring it into your practice of when you are generally taking time out for yourself. And in this instance, change the narrative and say, I am gifting myself the gift of reflection that will give me the insight to take into next year to have an empowered vision of what 2026 will look and feel like for me. So see it as you gifting yourself little bursts of time on a daily basis for that 2 weeks.
Beautiful stuff. Would you then also say, because you're doing it over a period of time, the way that our brains work, I'm going to hand this over to you to explain it, that once you start it, you're going to then begin to remember things that happen. What about that? What about this? And from that spurs other unique ideas and things which you can put into the second part of the book, which is now about 2026.
Absolutely. And here's another technique. Even if you've invested that hour that you're going to take daily, and that thought comes to mind because your brain has been able to process that you were in that reflective space, but couldn't in that moment think about something that was positive or inspirational or purposeful that you've achieved. You can, when you do have that burst of inspiration and you remember it, whether you are a person that likes to write it down in a book somewhere, or I tell my clients, voice note it to yourself and go back and listen to it afterwards. It is some powerful stuff. And the other thing I just want to say, it's going to bring in quite a bit of emotions. And so be gentle with yourself as you go into reflections, and this exercise is not to shame you or take you on a guilt trip of the goals that you haven't achieved. This is really asking you to say, what were the lessons and insights that I'm going to take along with me into 2026?
Fantastic. Thanks for the reminder about sending yourself a voice note. How often have any of you here been out and about, you come up with that idea, that thought, I must remember this, that person to think about, or there's something, and you go, I'll remember that, because now you were driving or you were out, and you get back home and you go, now what was it that I thought of? What was that idea? Man, it was so good. So the idea to send a voice note to yourself, I've got a colleague who sends himself emails. Brilliant, whichever works for you. But in that moment where you have that thought, because typically it'll be in a different environment, it's the way that our brain works. And you maybe be out walking or with friends or something, and somebody will say something, you hear something on the radio or whatever, that'll trigger that. Make a note of it then and there. Make a note of it. Lauren, thank you for your comment. I'm going to come to you just now. I want to go just to a train of thought here very quickly with Anissa. You mentioned writing it down. I'm a huge advocate for the power of this guy. Who knows what this is? Does anybody know? I'm being a bit facetious. Yes, because we don't write enough. So what is the power behind taking the printed version versus just ticking away on the laptop? What would you recommend?
Massive, massive, massive. And I'm so glad that you asked this question, because we are so conditioned to take the easy way out, but it does not imply that it's going to be the most effective way. And coming back to the neuroscience again, when we use a pen or pencil, you are writing down, and the communication that happens from writing it down and how it sends that messages back to the brain to embed whatever you have just written down, to process it differently, to integrate it differently, is way more sustainable than even the voice note, right?
100%.
Because writing it down, you are making a connection between the brain and your feeling states. Because when you're writing and you're seeing it visually, an emotion arises. And when an emotion arises, you're going into that feeling state immediately. And I encourage you, whatever the emotion is, write it down, whether it is positive or perceived to be negative. Because what it's going to give you again is that insight when you write it down. And another tip, the surface level emotion isn't always the root cause of what you're feeling. So if I'm feeling anxious, what is beneath anxious? And then you get another emotion, what's beneath that? But that's another session on its own, so I won't digress. I'm going to hand back to you.
And you're so right. The power of the pen, it cannot be understated, which is why whenever I do my coaching, everything is to be written. My clients may get a sheet, but it's printed and written. There's an exercise that I also share. If anybody ever wants to join me, we'll play with it, which is where we first of all are writing from a state of fear, fight, flight. We then do an activating exercise, and then we write again. Because the second time you're writing, now your mind's open, your mind's clear. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, right, okay, I've got this, and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed because you're looking at this and it's going 10 pages, and you think, oh, my, what have I done? I wanted a holiday. I didn't want a project.
Yeah.
And you're getting that overwhelming sensation. Stop and breathe. Put your pen down and just go back to the moment now. If you feel that you're getting angry, or you feel that you're getting fearful, I haven't done what I wanted, I'm cross because I didn't know what I didn't get where I want. Stop. Because if you're going to force it, you're not going to get the value out of it. So stop.
Agreed.
Put the pen down, put the paper down, and just for a few minutes, close your eyes and just focus on your breath. In and out your nose, and just calm yourself down and feel how you feel then. But like many of the personal development exercises, or if you ever do any introspective analysis where you're going deep to that discovery of who you are, which is what we spoke about right at the beginning, the ideal time to do that is when you're feeling calm. And if it doesn't feel right, don't force it. Stop and walk away. The value in the time when you come back to it will be far more than if you go, I've got to do this, I have to do this, my deadline. No. You're not going to be able to achieve what you want.
I couldn't agree more, Tim. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with you more on that, because if it's connected to an intention and your purpose, There's no grudge or resentment state that's going to come from it. So that's another thing to keep in mind is how committed are you to reach 2026 in that empowered state of beingness? Because if you are, you're not going to have that dis-ease with having to do this. The other thing on how to stop in the moment, Tim, is something that Positive Intelligence as an organization talks about around pattern interrupting. And I'm going to share it quite quickly, only because we have only 4 minutes remaining. Time flies when you're having
Yes.
fun. So to calm the nervous system whilst chaos is happening, you could do a simple thing as finding an object in your room or in the environment that you're in and looking at that from a different lens, from a different vantage point, looking at it, even the pen, and looking at that pen differently and seeing the texture of it, the colors, the size of it. And that is another technique to pattern interrupt the resistance that may potentially come up. I don't like to talk about pens. I'd find an object and feel the textures. Some are more tactile and they want to feel an object, or as simple as taking the fingertips and feeling the fingertips on each of your fingers for 30 seconds will pattern interrupt that negative thought loop patterns that are coming up for you.
Pattern interrupting. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's about pattern interrupting. I see you've
We're
got
going to need
a QR code. You want to talk to that?
Well, there's two things quickly. First of all, I just want to go back to this beautiful comment. I want to read this that Lauren put here onto the chat. Lauren says we do a gratitude jar as a family. We write everything we'd like to celebrate or what has ever happened that was great. You write it down and add the date. On New Year's Eve, we open the jar together and reflect on the past year.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. Any other ideas in the last 2 minutes that we have remaining before we conclude? Those that are on LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm sorry I can't see the other screens now. But for everyone that is here, share your wisdom and insight on what really brings you back to feeling present in the moment and valuing the gifts of what the year has brought for you so that you can move out of the hustle state to bring it into this closing conversation, into the harmonious state that we aspire to get to. So Tim, those that are there in Zoom, if they can type it in Zoom, any ideas?
Yeah.
Those that are on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, type it in. Those that are going to watch the replay are going to sincerely appreciate it.
So every year for many, many years, the wife and I have done a reflection over what we want to do, where we want to go, what we want to have. And it's always led us to very unique and beautiful experiences through the years. So with your book and with your information there, I'm going to become a lot more intentional. So thank you for sharing that. It's brilliant. Now on the screen, if you're on Zoom, you've got a QR code or the chats. There's a link you can do. And for everybody else, you reach out to us or reach out to Lauren if you haven't got it, or myself, and I'll gladly share this. That's my free book, From Burnout to All Out in 60 Seconds, which is sharing just more about breathing, those breathing techniques I've shared with you, and multiple more different ones that you can do, and also a link if you want to connect with me. More than happy to jump on a free, no salesy, complimentary chat to see if I can help you if you're struggling with something specific along the signs of burnout and breathing. As you heard, that was my story. So I'm more than glad to share that with you and to connect. So it's been with huge gratitude. Let's end on that. Huge gratitude that I've been sharing with you. So Lauren, sorry, Hanisa, thinking about Lauren again and her idea. Nisa, thank you very much for sharing the virtual screen and inviting me to come and share with you. It's been an honor and a privilege. I've loved this conversation. It's a powerful one and a beautiful one to really set the tone for December. We've got a 12th of the year left. It's not over yet.
So on that note, I do want to also express my, monumental gratitude for all of the Level Up community, and all of our community that has joined us, whether it's on the Zoom or across the socials. My closing points to you would be, just lead with empathy and grace for yourself. When we're in a space of gratitude, we are open to receive whatever abundance and prosperity lies ahead for us. And we can be in that moment of saying, I'm grateful for everything, the good, the bad, the down, outright ugly. But remain curious of what's unfolded for yourself, because when we can be these fascinated anthropologists of our lives, we're gathering information and insight, and that equips us to lead the year more in an inspired, innovative way, and generative, with being open to explore possibilities and navigate it, knowing that it is okay to not be okay, and just breathe in that moment and allow yourself to celebrate even the little milestones that you could take that 30 seconds or 1 minute to breathe or pattern interrupt in whatever may have showed up for you. And honor yourselves in every moment, in every way, because you are all heroes of your own stories, and I salute you. I'm grateful that you've been with us on this journey over the last year. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, but Tim, do stay on the live with me on StreamYard. I'll end it, but please stay with me and we'll do a short debrief afterwards. Any
Perfect.
last words from those that are in Zoom that they want to add in? What is your closeout word, checkout word on how you're feeling
Beautiful.
or how you felt the session was for you?
Love it. A lot of people saying thank you. Bert, appreciate it. Tanya, thank you both. Ethel saying thanks. Tim and Nisa and Jeff. And oh dear, I'm going to apologies.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for my pronunciation, but thank you, team. Thank you, Tim and Nisa. Thank you. Awesome. Say again.
I'm going to find somebody.
Oh, I must practice. I need more practice. But thank you for joining. Thanks for saying. Enjoyed the breathing.
And
good
remember,
idea.
we're going to send. Yeah, we're also going to be sending you the year compass. Tanya will send it through to everyone in the community. I will post it on the socials for those that have dialed in via StreamYard. Okay.
Thank you all. And I've had 6 people, because it comes up on my laptop here, 6 people have already downloaded my book. Yay! How exciting.
Fantastic.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure. Unmute. Say farewell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anissa.
Pleasure. Okay,
Well
so
done.
we'll
Have
give
a
it.
fantastic. Let me end the Zoom here. Everybody's dropping off.
And then I'll end the live, but do stay with me, Tim.
There we go.